it's Don here from the board. Thank you for coming along and checking out another video. So, a little while ago, I went and did a quick look and introduction at the Synth 2.0 sculpting artisan base, whatever you want to call it, the sculpting tool, the Synth, which is what I've got here in my hands. You know, I showed off its features. I compared it to the version 1 point something. I still don't know 100% which version I've got, which is the previous model. And at some point in time, you know, I wanted to do a bit of sculpting on it. Originally, I had thought that I would do it as a live stream, and I hadn't quite figured out what I was going to sculpt. That said, though, thanks to little one here who is reaching out and wanting to play with things, just like taking my tape away. Yeah. It does get kind of difficult, and of course it makes it interesting at times to try and do live streams. So instead of doing, yeah, it's a synth, and it's not tasty, so don't try to eat it. So what that means though is it's kind of difficult, especially to sit down to do a sculpt, because sculpting, especially if you're trying to create something meaningful, perhaps even with detail and whatnot, can take quite a lot of time, and there's a lot of work and iterations involved in it. So instead of doing it as a live stream, what I am going to do, what I'm hoping to do, what I'm planning to do is to actually sculpt it and maybe just do it as a sort of fast forward more than anything else. Now the sculpting procedure is relatively simple, relatively basic. I do have various sort of sculpting mediums. So for example, in this packet over here that I've got, thanks to Cos, is actually some CX5 soft. This is what I was using last time when I did the Movember keycap. So there's some CX5 with the S on it, indicating that's the soft version of it. And then also thanks to Cos, he was really kind to pass on some of the... no, you cannot have that. You can still hold on to the synth, you can play with that, but not with this, okay? And he also passed along some of the... ooh, that wasn't nice, was it? There's the CX5 hard. Now, I don't think it actually has the H on it, or if it did, it's kind of been taken away from this corner. The differences between these two is very drastic. It's very, very different. So I'm probably going to do more sculpting with the soft and the hard. I did have a mix that I made which was 50-50, and it was still really hard to work with. So anyway, pretty much going to cut the intro at this point in time here. I'm hoping what's going to follow is just maybe a fast forward or a zip through of me doing some sculpting using the Synth 2.0 that she's currently got playing in her hands. Oh, she's already waving me off and saying bye. So yeah, think we'll cut it there, and hopefully following this will be just a fast forward / time lapse of me doing some sculpting, ending up in something that might get turned into an artisan. So, hooroo, thanks very much, and catch you next time. Alright, so we're back. The sculpting is done. It was a couple of hours worth of sculpting in 2 sessions. Thankfully I was able to fit it in. And what I've done is I've actually finished what I think is going to be my sculpt for this year's Movember campaign happening later in the year. Oh look, you're back, are you? You want to come up? You want to come up? Come on. Yeah. You're going to get upset again? You can't have it. It's Daddy's. So, what I thought I'd just show off the actual cap as opposed to it being in the video. Hopefully it's going to be sped up because it was a couple of hours worth of sculpting that I decode. And thank you for showing asthma first aid, my dear. And what I've done is, if it's going to focus... Oh, stop reaching out and touching that. Daddy can't get this happening. There we go. So this particular sculpt, I'm not holding very steadily here, is I call it the Merv. The Merv, and of course anybody who is Australian will actually know exactly what I'm talking about. And if you don't know what I'm talking about or who I'm talking about, then well, I won't say that it's exactly a shame, but it's somebody that certainly has a lot of character and has done some really great work around the community as well. So that's what the Merv looks like. And of course, to show everybody who the Merv and the basis for this is, there you go. So there's the Merv. Merv Hughes, one of Australians' cricket greats in the past, who is very well known for having a really fantastic mow. Now, of course, you know, this particular mow could probably also, I suppose, match other greats like Hulk Hogan and so forth, but you know what, being an Australian, I'm going to just call it the Merv. Now at this point in time, I'm just letting the sculpt sort of sit and rest, and it's going to stay nice and hard and keep its all detailed, because this is actually a mix of both the CX5 hard and soft. It's about 25% hard and about 75% soft. I did try to mix it 50-50 and it was just too hard to work with. And I just kept having to add more and more soft into it until I finally got something that I could do something with. Alright, so you'll see it's quite a sort of low-ish profile, if it'll come into actual zoom. I'm just going to put that sideways here and try and keep her hands away from it. But what I've got, let me find myself a cap over here in a pile of caps. This is an OEM row 1, and you can see it's about the same sort of height as that OEM row 1. So that's just to give you an idea of how that compares to actually it's a bit shorter simply because it's not resting on the base. There we go. So it's probably closer to a cherry profile kind of keycap, nice and low. Alright, well, we're going to wrap that up. I don't know how good my video edits are going to be to append this to the end of the other bits of video. Hey, you can't touch it, alright? But hopefully it will go okay, since I'm obviously recording this out of sequence as such. And then we'll do probably, maybe if I've got the time, a live stream of actually doing the silicone pour of this to create a mold. Then of course, after that's done, maybe we'll be able to do a video of actually casting with the Synth 2.0 and see how it goes. If it's going to be any better or any worse, any easier, any harder than working with the previous version of the synth. Yeah, so there it is. Thanks for checking out the video, of course. And as usual, until next time, happy clacking.